In the last video, we created these buttons so that when we click a button, it will open up a corresponding field set. So we click the font button, we get the font set, and so on. In this video, we're going to start populating the font field set with inputs so that we can start generating some of the CSS. So in the HTML, let's create an input, type text with an ID, font color, and value of, let's make it white. Okay, now I want to make a select with a bunch of font families. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy, and I'm going to paste a bunch of code in here, and then I'm going to explain what I just pasted. Okay, so what we have here is a select element. Its ID is font family because the values in the options are all these font families. But we also have an inline style font family equal to that font family. And then in the text, we have the font family. So this is more convenient because we can look and see what font family we want to choose from. Let's kind of get an idea of what it will look like. Okay, so now let's create down below the select element, let's create an input. You see, an input with a type number, give an ID equals font size, step equals 1, min 0, max 5. Value, let's leave that blank for right now. So let's create another input. Let's copy this and below, let's paste it. This is going to be an input with a type range. Okay, let's take a look and see what this looks like. Okay, so let's go back to the code. We need to give each one of these inputs a unique ID. So this is going to be, let me see, font size slider, and we'll make this one font size number. Let's also give these a step of 0.5. And let's give the minimum of 1. And now let's add a value of 4 for each one of our inputs. Also, let's wrap these inputs in a div, call it font size inputs. Now, let's give one of these inputs a label. We don't need to give them both a label because it's the same thing. It is the font size. So we give it a 4 attribute. Okay, so let's call this font size, and let's copy this font size number and put it in the 4 attribute. Okay, so let's save that and take a look. Refresh. Okay, we can't really see any difference. We need to go to the CSS and create some styles. Okay, so let's scroll down to the bottom. So let's give the input type number and this select. Let's give it a width of 60%, background of black, and a color of orange. So for the label, let's give it a color of, how about FFA, kind of more like a white. It's display block and margin left 20 pixels. Okay, let's also give the inputs and it selects a margin 0, 0, 20 pixels and 20 pixels. Okay, let's save that and take a look. Okay, well, we can see the label now and we're getting a little bit better. Let's go back. So let's go and give our field sets a position of absolute. Let's let them fill the whole form up. Top 0, left 0, width and height of 100%. Okay, so let's save that, and now look. So now we have a lot more room within our field set. Let's go back and let's take a look at this a little better. Okay, so I see I need a comma between my input and my select. I also want to create in the HTML a header for our font size inputs. Call it font size. Okay, let's copy that and give it some style. So paste it right here, put the pound sign in front of it, and what we need to do is give it a margin top of 20%, save it, and look at it now. So now we have our distinct font size set, our group. So let's go back, and in the JavaScript at the bottom, let's create some functionality so that, let's say that when we change the input with ID of font family, we're going to declare a variable, call it font family. It's going to be the value of this that we're changing. Now remember that this keyword, when used inside of a function, always points to the object of the function. So in this particular case, it's the ID font family. So we're getting the value of our select element and storing it into a variable called font family. Then let's get the ID with Creative Clerk and set its CSS to its font family property to our variable font family. Now we don't need quotation marks because it's a variable, but semicolon and check it out. So now let's make a change to our select. Choose any style, and we actually are changing the CSS of our text element. So let's go back to the JavaScript and do this again, this time for the font family, for the font size. So let's create another function. When we get the font size number, the ID with the font size number, and when we change it, let's go ahead and copy this line of code right here and paste it there. Change font number to font size. Declare a variable, call it font size, and set it equal to this.val. Now we'll take our variable font size and replace font family with font size. Okay, so let's save that and see if that works. When we changed it, and it's not working. Okay, so let's look at this. So when we change the font size number, we get the variable font size, but we want to change the CSS, but we're not specifying whether we want pixels or EMs or what. So we need to add some kind of a string, either pixels or EMs or percent. So let's do that. So right here in the font size, we're going to add with a plus sign and then tick marks. Simply put EM inside the tick marks. Let's save that and see if that works. Refresh. So now I need to change the input, and when I do, I actually change the font size of our text. I can also change the font family, so we're getting somewhere. But let's take a look at these functions that we have. We have our changing font size and changing font family. We're doing almost the same thing. We're changing the CSS of our text element. Okay, so you would think that there would be some better way of writing this so that we don't have to write so many functions. What if we just write one function and then be able to call that anytime we change any of our elements? And also, what if we assign our elements, give them each the same class? And then we write one function that will call the other function anytime we change an element with a particular class. So we're going to do that in the next video. But for now, I did notice a problem with I can't see the label on my input, so I have to look at the HTML, and that's why there's the less than sign. So I'm going to take that out. I'm going to make this a capital F, make it look better. Okay, let's take a look now. So now I can see my label. Okay, well, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.